grab your favorite beverage, kick up your feet as you ascend with me into the joy portal of soul reflections, fresh perspectives, fun ideas, and wisdom. Light to light and heart to heart. Smile and breathe even deeper as together we will soar above the perception of all hurdles and shine brightly as the light we are. Namaste and welcome to Light, Laughter, and Lattes. My name is Geri Habstritt. I'm an evasive quantum healer, medical intuitive, self-ascension intuitive counselor, and your friend and soul connection for the next hour. So welcome to May, everyone. And May is a fantastic month. I don't know if you all delivered May baskets when you were young, like I did, where you got to go get the little baskets and put all the goodies in it, and then figure out whose doorstep you're going to leave them on, and then leave the May baskets and hang out behind a bush somewhere and watch them open the door to collect their basket. And so this is something that I did, and I did it for many years later. And May is like that kind of month. It is the opportunity to collect your May basket. It is a month of expansion and contraction, and you really have the opportunity to expand consciousness, because that's really what expansion is all about, is expanding our consciousness, expanding how we see things. And so when this opportunity arises, if you are sitting back saying, you know, I want to live differently, I want to see things differently, I want to grow more, then the universe will say, okay. And always something will get thrown in your path. And so sometimes the things that get thrown in your path might look like disease. It might look like a relationship breaking up. It might look like a job loss. It'll look like whatever it needs to look like so that you can see through it in a different way so that you can ultimately expand. And so my guest today has walked through that path. He had a great challenge in his life, and he was able to harvest those gifts. And through harvesting those gifts, he was able to put them together in a book called The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life. And so I would like to introduce Dr. Alan Lycka. He has been acknowledged as one of the leading cosmetic dermatologists in the world for 3 decades. A pioneer in his field, he is an inventor, author of 17 books and 30 academic papers, and for many years, host of the top internet radio show in his subject matter, Inside Cosmetic Surgery Today. In 2003, when visiting Disneyland with his wife and young daughter, Dr. Lycka's life changed drastically when he suddenly developed a foot drop. After a battery of tests, he was misdiagnosed as ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. And he was told to get your affairs in order. That experience, which initially took him on an emotional roller coaster, was a turning point in his life. Not willing to give in to the death sentence imposed to him by the doctor, he persistently searched for an alternative and correct diagnosis, and he found it. Realizing that each day was a gift after that, he started to live life differently, and that transformation has led a way of living that he has shared in his book, The Secrets of Living a Fantastic Life, which he has co-authored with Harriet Tinka. He is a transformational speaker, thought leader, coach, and mentor. Today, Dr. Alan Lycka is here to share some of these secrets of living a fantastic life. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's such a delight to be here today.
Well, it is a delight to have you here today.
Well, it's always fun to be on a podcast and on the radio. And, you know, it's just fun to share with audiences the experiences and tell them how to have a better life as a result.
Absolutely. And it's through our challenges. I'll tell you, I've had many of my own that we come to gather the gifts of what those are. And when we get those gifts, we get to share them with others. And so I love that you put a book together of all these secrets. And before we get into those, I want to take you back to Disneyland.
Sure. That sounds like fun. Most times it's fun, but that experience was not the funnest in the world.
Can you share?
Sure. I was walking in Disneyland with my wife and my youngest daughter, and my wife turned to me and she literally said, "What's wrong with you, hon?" And, for once, I hadn't done anything wrong. I hadn't said anything wrong. I hadn't even thunk anything wrong. So I didn't have the faintest idea what she was talking about. So I said, "Dear, what are you talking about?" She said, "Your foot is flapping." "Excuse me, dear, what do you mean my foot is flapping?" She said, "Listen to your foot." I said, "Okay." So I listened to my foot, and, my foot had suddenly developed a foot drop. Now that means it was slapping on the pavement with each step I was taking. So it was making an audible sound. So it was flapping. And she said again, "What's wrong with you, hon?" I said, "I haven't got the faintest idea. It's like 105 degrees out here. It's hot. It's steamy. Maybe that has to do with it." Well, my wife's a doctor as well. And she said, "That doesn't explain it. Did you have a stroke?" And I said, "A stroke doesn't act like that." So she said, "When we get back, you better get this checked out." Now, when your wife tells you to get something checked out, if you want to stay married and avoid a fight, you better get it checked out. So I knew I had to get it checked out. So I started on my journey. I went and got every test known to man. I had CAT scans. I had brain scans. I had scans. And at the end of them, you know what they showed?
What?
Absolutely nothing. They thought I had a slipped disc or a brain tumor, but there was nothing on any of these tests. So finally, I went and sat down with one of the world's best neurologists. At least that was his reputation. He went over all my tests, and he called me to his office and said, "You better be sitting down when I tell you this." And I say, "What's wrong?" He said, "There's only one thing that explains this. You have Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, which is a very, very bad neurological disease with a very, very bad prognosis." And he said, "You have 6 months to live. You better get your affairs in order." And I looked at him rather astounded by his pronouncement. And I said, "What do you mean I have 6 months to live? I have a dropped right foot. I don't have anything else wrong." He said, "There's nothing else that explains it." So I asked him again, "Is there a way to prove this diagnosis?" He said, "Of course, an autopsy." Now, I lost it then. I said, "I'm not going to die to prove you wrong." Okay. And I went through all the phases of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She wrote a book on death and dying. And in that book, she explains the phases a person goes through when they're dying. They go through anger. Well, I was angry. I could have bit the heads off nails. I went through denial. No, I don't have anything wrong with me. There's nothing going to happen to me. I went through depression. I went through bargaining. "Oh, God, help me. I will do anything if I get better." Well, the last phase that Kubler-Ross goes through is acceptance. And that's the one thing I would not do, was accept my diagnosis. I knew that there was something else wrong. And I said to my wife, "What do you think's wrong?" She said, "I haven't got the faintest idea, but I don't think it's ALS," she said. So that's when I started on my journey. I started looking. I started going to more doctors, and they didn't have the faintest idea. They were equally perplexed. And so finally, back in 2003 was when this was occurring. They had just invented this new tool called the internet. Okay. The internet was very primitive then. It was not like anything we had today. It was much, much different. We had an internet that was very, very different. And it just was very, very different than what we have today. You couldn't access it by doing what we did now, just dialing up, getting on there and talking to another person. You had to go through and you had to use languages to get onto it. You almost had to be a computer programmer, because computers back there had very little information. They couldn't do the things they do today. So I was able to look at every disease that looked like ALS but was not ALS. And I found a doctor in Colorado Springs, Colorado, by the name of David Martz, who was a hematologist, a blood specialist that had gone through exactly the same thing I had done. But he had gotten much, much worse, much more rapidly, so he couldn't even raise his head from the bed. Well, he was a very well-known doctor, so many doctors were coming around to say goodbye to him. And one doctor came up from Texas and looked at David and said, you know, David, there's something wrong. I do not think you have ALS. David muttered, what do I have? The doctor from the Texas said, I think you have something called chronic Lyme's disease, which is a bite of a tick. And that tick puts bacteria and other things in your body that causes the immune system to get wonky. And that causes a disease that looks like ALS. Well, David said, is there a way to prove this? He said, yes, there's a blood test. But even better yet, if I put you on the treatment for this, you will rapidly get better. So David started on the treatment. And you know, just like Lazarus, he arose from the dead. He literally started walking and dancing and talking and doing everything like that. So I knew I had to talk to David. He was in a little town called Colorado Springs, Colorado. But, you know, I'm a doctor. So I got on the phone and I phoned all the hospitals. Do you have a doctor by the name of Dr. Martz? Oh, yes. At the Methodist Hospital, they did. Can you kindly get him to call me? 10 minutes later, David was talking to me. And we talked for hours. He said, Barry, can you come down and see me? That's what I was known as back then, my nickname, Barry. Well, the answer was, no, I can't come down. Do you know why I couldn't come down? It was our Thanksgiving weekend. We had 50 people coming to our house. What did that mean? Well, my wife would be alone taking care of all these people. So I said, David, no, I cannot come down. He said, why? Don't you have any planes in Canada? I said, oh. So I go to my wife and I said, dear, I'm not going to be home this weekend. She said, where are you going this time? You're always away at meetings. You're always doing things. I said, dear, I'm going down to Colorado Springs to find out what's wrong with me, I think. She said, well, if there's a good chance it's going to help you, of course you must go. I can take care of these 50 people. That's nothing for me. So I got on a plane. It went from Edmonton to Denver, which is great. But then I got on this little plane from Denver to Colorado Springs. Now, Denver is located right in the Rocky Mountains, and Colorado Springs is about a 15-minute flight from there. But you know, at the end of the day, the heat rises off the desert and causes eddies of air. So any plane at that time of day can drop like 100 feet within 10 seconds, just boom. And it kept on doing this over and over and over again till we got in Colorado Springs. Boy, was I green. Boy, was I sick when I literally crawled off the plane. And there was David to meet me on the tarmac. You know, back then, they didn't have as many prohibitions as they do now. They didn't have as many things. If you were a doctor in Colorado Springs and you knew people at the airport, you could drive up your car to the little plane and meet people. Well, that's what David did for me. And then we went and talked for hours. And you know what he said to me? He said, I think nature is repeating itself. I think this is a repeat of history here. I said, then what do we do? He said, I'm going to start you on antibiotics. And I did. He started me on antibiotics. And that's when I started getting better. Now, over the years, I got a little bit worse. My right hand became weaker. But I was able to maintain my status as one of the top cosmetic doctors, the top dermatologists in North America for 16 years. And it didn't have a heartbeat. It didn't lose a step in any of that. So it was an amazing journey. But you know, when you go through this, you start to wonder. You start to look for patterns. You start for looking for things in life. And I met another young lady by the name of Harriet Tinka, who had a story similar to mine, where she was kidnapped, stabbed, and left for dead. I met her because I was presenting an award for women of distinction, and she was a woman of distinction for surviving such a harrowing attack. But she had found many principles about life, and I found that I had the same principles of life. We call them golden pearls, and those are the golden pearls we put together in our little book. Our little book is called The Secrets of Living a Fantastic Life, and we've captured 13 of these so other people can live a life as wonderful as ours without going through the hardships we've created.
Wonderful. So what kind of diagnosis did they come up with, or was there not a diagnosis?
It's a frustrating thing even to this day, but you meet 20 different doctors and they give you 40 different diagnoses. Okay. So I go with the working diagnosis that I have chronic Lyme's disease because my disease responds to the treatments that were there. So it helps me to stay well. I'd be very worried of stopping any of those treatments or pursuing any other. But other doctors have said, maybe you have MS, maybe you have this, maybe you have that. But the point is with this, when you're given a diagnosis that you're going to die, that you're going to be dead in 6 months, you either accept it and die, or you fight it and you find something that's going to replace it in such a way that you can live a great life. You find principles that can also make you live a great life. Because if you don't, there's no other alternative. There's no turning back.
Right, absolutely. Well, and as a medical intuitive, which is what I do, people come to me with problems, pains, issues, and it's always a process of going back and finding gifts and experiences, finding past things that happened as a child that didn't get released, trauma that's stuck in the body. And it's always a process of forgiveness and finding the gift in an experience. And once you find the gift, your consciousness shifts. And then oftentimes more is revealed. And it sounds like that's what happened with you.
Well, I think forgiveness is one of the greatest principles that we could ever get on. And I think that's one of our primary golden pearls. Forgiveness is really a gift. And really, when you forgive somebody, it's not to forgive that person, it's for you. You bring a burden off your shoulders. You bring a new hope. If you don't forgive somebody and they've hurt you, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't happen that way. Being in that situation of blame and counter-blame and hate is a very negative thing. And I think it sets a whole course onto itself, which is not very healthy.
I agree. So I have not read your book. So did I uncover one of your pearls?
Yes, that is one of our pearls. As I said, there's 13 in that book, and that is one of our pearls. Forgiveness is a very, very, very big pearl. I think it's something that everybody has to learn to do. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy. If you've been very, very harmed or hurt by somebody, if you've been in an abusive relationship, if you've been in a relationship where somebody hurt you badly and did it on purpose and has no intention of ever making it right, you still have to forgive. I think it was Mandela that said he started a council in his country because there were so many people that were abused in that situation. And in his country, there could have been bloodshed. The entire country could have turned into revenge. But what they did was they turned on a principle of forgiveness. And they turned into a situation where they could grow rather than take a step back. I think that's very, very important. The growth step from forgiveness is very, very great.
It is incredible. I too went through a challenging experience, and they would repeat it over and over and over. And I was at the place too where I knew I had to forgive. And it's like, I would wake up and go, okay, let me start that I have a place to live in. And sometimes you have to just be very simple. I'm grateful I have 2 hands. I'm grateful I have legs that can walk. And so for anyone out there who's in that place where, how do I forgive? Sometimes you have to start at the very, very, very core, and you have to search for things to be thankful for. And eventually you'll find more and more and more, and you'll grow your way out of it.
And you stumbled on a second pearl there. It's gratitude, being grateful for the little things in your life. Because when you shift from an attitude of I want, I need, to one that I'm grateful for, your whole life changes. When you start thinking of the little things and spending maybe 10 or 15 minutes a day just thinking of the gratitude you have. Right now we're going through a situation where there's COVID going on, a very bad virus, and we've been asked to stay in our own houses, our own little shelters, and not really get out and be amongst people. Now, when I think about that, that could be bad. I mean, it's like being in solitary confinement. You're not allowed to do that. But in North America, we are so blessed. We have nice houses. We have spaces that we can happily live in. Even in our crowdedest house, there is still space that we can still social distance from one another. We have an internet where we can reach out over the millions of miles and touch somebody on the other side. Just think of the world we're living in and the mass technology that we have that allows us to do this over and over and over again. So all I can say is we have a lot to be thankful for. In our part of the world, although social distancing is the biggest problem, in other parts of the world, because they have to social distance, people are starving because all they have usually to live off of is what they make that day. Mm. So think of a situation where you can no longer work, and that was required to put bread and food on your table. Well, that's not what we have in North America. We have good food chains. We have food available for most people. People can't afford it. We usually have food banks and churches and other people that give food to people. So, we are much better off than the rest of the world. I shudder to think what it would be like in some places like it is. I'm a member of the Rotary Club, and I got a email from somebody the other day that in Belize, which is thought to be a very wealthy country because of tourism, the people that are not in the main resort areas are in little villages, and they're being forced to stay in those villages and are literally starving. Mm. So, this is happening in Peru as well, where my Rotary has an outreach to. So literally in these places, there's no food because I don't have the daily means to get it. So we are fortunate in North America, and I think there's lots to be grateful for. When you go through a death experience like mine, every day is a bonus day. I was supposed to be dead 16 years ago. So, in that situation, you can be foolish and waste every day, or you can use every day as another thing that's important. And I've always felt one of the greatest things we can do is to pay it forward. And I'm going to ask your audiences to do that. Just think, instead of yourself for today, think of what you can do to make it a better day for somebody else.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do right now. I mean, I make it a practice to, especially when I go into the grocery stores, to be extra kind to people and to smile. I mean, I'm not wearing a mask here. It's probably maybe 75% of the people in the grocery store are, 25 aren't. But just to bring a smile to people, because there's so many people that are struggling even to come up with a smile or feel a smile. Or when I go for walks, the same thing. I mean, there's so many things we can do right now when there's a lot of people in fear, a lot of people, scared about their jobs. Now, in the gratitude part of it, I know a lot of people that are saying, wow, I got a break I didn't even know I needed. I'm getting the opportunity to nourish myself and spend time with my kids and do all these things that I couldn't do before. So, and I think Mother Earth is feeling the same way. She's getting a nice break from, all kinds of stuff that would be normally happening on Earth.
One thing I've done is looked at this pretty carefully because I've been very interested in what's happening in the rest of the world. The canals of Venice, which are really, really dirty, have all of a sudden cleaned up. Mm-hmm. In other parts of the world, animals are starting to take over the cities again. Even in my own city, I live in a city called Edmonton, and we were right next to a big river valley. And 2 days ago, when I was driving out of my house, a big deer was on my lawn eating the lawn. This is something you don't see because there's traffic, there's noise around. These animals don't want to be anywhere near us. But this deer was right there. It was a phenomenal sight. So the little things that we should be not taking for granted, we should look at and say, wow, this is a nice thing. There's some wonderful things that are coming out because of this. And I think we should be grateful for that as well.
Absolutely. And it's just a little change in perspective. I'm seeing friends of mine who are musicians that are taking their instruments out into their driveway and starting block parties. And now neighbors are getting to know neighbors. That they
how long has it been since neighbors have really known neighbors? Yes, you've lived next to people for a long time, but do you really know your neighbors? Do you know what they're like? You might know them enough to say hi, but you really don't have a chance to do much. Now, of course, you have to socially distance, which is very important. Right. But at the same time, it's very important to realize that you can actually do these things while social distancing.
Absolutely. So let's get to a couple more of those pearls. We've got 2 of them. You have some more?
Of course. Let's go through another one. Let's go through laughter. Laughter. One of the things that you have on your marquee, laughter. Isn't that a great gift as well? Isn't that something that's very, very important? Nothing in the world can take us from a situation of being dour to one that's being very happy than to have a good laugh. There's a lot to be said for slapstick comedy because that makes you laugh instantly. When a person slips on a banana peel, it's funny. It's not meant to laugh because they hurt themselves, but it's a funny act when a person goes through those things. Well, do you know scientists have actually studied laughter?
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Wiseman from London, England, who studied jokes. And do you know that he found the world's funniest joke? He studied thousands and thousands and thousands of jokes and had people rate them. And he came up with the world's funniest joke. Would you like to hear the world's funniest joke?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, there were 2 hunters. They were in the woods. And they were way, way out nowhere. And one falls down. He looks like he's dead. His buddy starts shaking him. Buddy, get up, get up, get up. He doesn't. So he brings out his cell phone. Cell phones work anywhere, right? Even in the darkest parts of Africa, even everywhere. So he gets on the phone. He phones 911. Operator, help me. My friend looks like he's dead. The operator says, calm down, sir. Calm down. Let's first of all make sure he's dead. So he goes. You hear he drops the phone. There's a loud bang. Then he comes back and he says, yes, he's dead. What do I do now? Now that's a terrible joke. It's a terrible joke. But I have yet had a chance where a person hasn't laughed from it yet. Because they realize the incongruence of the stupid situation,
And it's so funny that someone's studying the funniest joke. I mean, because it seems like humor is so particular from person to person, what one person's going to laugh at to another. But that's awesome because laughter is truly, if we're talking about an immune system, if you really want to protect your immune system, laughter is like one of the medicines that doesn't come in a bottle. That it's like, I call it your suit of armor. If you walk around in a frequency of joy, you're protected from almost anything.
Oh, yes. And there are several studies that have shown that humor can actually cure things. They've shown that causes you to vibrate on another level.
Yep.
It helps you to do better that way. There was a doctor by the name of Punch Adams that a movie was made about him because he would make people laugh. That's what he would do. And he had a happiness institute where he had a hospital built on the situation that people were made to laugh. Now, have you been to a hospital lately? Have you been to a situation like that? Have you seen how people are literally only one person is allowed in the hospital? They're not even allowed with their spouse anymore. It's a situation that's very dour. Well, I think if we started to look at things a little bit more and realize that laughter is such an important thing, I think it would be a better situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I go through my life where the synchronicities show up, and I call it magic that comes in, it's always when I'm in that state of joy or laughter, and then everything just kind of comes together.
Yes,
So,
I think it's very important to do that. And I think it's very important. But Lona, notice how quickly you change when you're laughing and happy, how everything else looks better. The blue world you're in is all of a sudden radiant. It's full of joy. It's full of great situations. So I think we need to concentrate on that as well. Think about laughter. Think how you can break things. I think in my mind that laughter shows me there is a benevolent God. I think it shows there's somebody that's taking care of us, a greater spirit, if you like. But something that realizes we need something better and more than just living every day. I think that's proof in and of itself.
as you're talking, I'm seeing the image of the Dalai Lama.
Oh, dear. Oh,
Do
dear.
you never not see a picture of him without the biggest smile in the world?
That's true. That's true. He has got the most benevolent smile there is. And that in itself is something that's wonderful. Thinking of that beautiful, beautiful, benevolent smile. And I think we have to get back to that again. I think we have to realize that even in these times of hardship, even in all this, we have a great life. We have a good living. Yes, I know a lot of people have lost their jobs. I know a lot of people have been hurt in this economy. But I think at the end of the tunnel, and the tunnel is going to be long. It's not going to be a short tunnel, that there's going to be a good outcome. I think things are going to be better.
I think so too. And you're making me think. I take this beautiful walk in the morning down by the river, and there's all these baby ducklings now, and over these little bridges and streams, and someone took the time to write what they hope is going to come out of the situation, and they hammered it on a couple little bridges. And it's all about, like, hopefully when this time is over, we'll never complain about standing in the line at the grocery store, or the morning rush bringing our kids to school, or a crowded stadium of people as we go to our favorite concerts. And we'll always remember, and they went on with this list, we'll always remember what really matters and the people and how they make us feel. And I just, wow, because I'm seeing that in so many different ways on the sidelines of what's going on behind the hoarding the toilet paper, worrying about everything else.
Exactly. And I think there is a silver lining inside that cloud. And I think it's important to realize that. I think when we start realizing there's a silver lining, I think we start to feel better about ourselves. And I think as we reach out, as we get that way, I think people should look at things. I was supposed to be dead. That was my sentence. In 6 months, back in 2003. What's 2020 now? I think of all the thousands of people I've been able to help that, and how many more I'm going to be helped with my words and my books and my speaking and reaching out, and the listeners of your show, how much better they're going to be as a result of it. And I think we can really help and make the world a better place. And that's where I'm at these days.
So how are you living your life differently now after that experience?
Well, I think I tried to make every day count to the fullest. I think every day must be a wonderful, marvelous day. I think every day has to be full of sunshine and hope. And I tried to make that in other people's lives as well. And I tried to make it a more joyous place for them. Even in my book, 20% of the receipts of that book are going to go and help people in the inner city, so that people will have a better go as a result of this. And I think that's important too. I think giving back is very important, and paying it forward is very important. Mm-hmm. Those are things I think everybody should try and do, and live a better life as a result.
I agree. So are there more pearls you want to share, or you don't want to probably reveal them all?
Well, I'm going to reveal one more, because in every pearl there's a phenomenal story that leads it off. And then there's a dialogue between Harriet and myself. And so in this book, you get several gems that come at you from several different ways. And it's just a beautiful book that most people are going to say, wow, they're going to live it. So I'm going to tell you one of the stories from the book.
Okay.
And it's important to realize that in this, enthusiasm is one of the most important things that you can bring to every day. You know, enthusiasm is not something that you just happens. It's something you got to bring out of yourself. Well, there was a carpenter by the name of Fred. And after 40 years for working for the same company, he was tired. He had lost his enthusiasm. He just didn't like it anymore. He found a hard time going to work. He had some arthritis. He just didn't like being there. So he went to his boss and he said, this is my last day. I'm quitting. I can't take this anymore. It's been 40 years. I'm done. And his boss for a minute said, hold on, Fred. Just wait for a minute. You've been one of my best employees. You worked for me for so many years. You helped build this company what it is. Could you do just one more job for me before you quit? Fred said, well, for you, boss, anything, because I really like you and you've done a lot for me. Well, the boss says, well, can you build me just one more house? Only you can do it. You're my master carpenter. Only you have the skills to build this particular house. So Fred said, okay, I'll do it. So he starts building the house, but his heart is not into it. He drags his ass to work every day. He barely gets the job done. The job's supposed to take 6 months. It takes a year to do it. And at the end of it, it's built so shoddily, so badly, it barely passes inspection. Now, this is a guy that was renowned for his craftsman work and so on, that he built this shoddy house. So at the end of it, he went and threw the keys on his boss's desk and said, okay, I'm out of here. Boss said, hold it, Fred. We got to have a party for you. We got to drink some champagne. We got to have some fun. You've been my best employee for 40 years. And okay, so they have their party. He says, okay, I'm out of here. The boss said, no, Fred. We have a very special gift for you. You see these keys? These are the keys to your new house. You're going to live it the rest of the days of your life. And I want you to enjoy it and experience it for all the wonderful things you've done for me. Now, could you picture how much different that would have been if Fred brought enthusiasm to the job every day? How much he would have enjoyed that house instead of living in a house that he's lived to regret? So yeah. I think that's very important, is to live that house to the best each and every day that you can. Mm-hmm. You got to do it. You got to share it. You got to take it home.
Yes, I agree. Great story.
Yeah. So this is what my book is based on. It's based on 13 amazing little stories to take home for you. So each one of them underscores the story. So you need to really have a look at this and really feel this book, taste it. It really is a great book. And I'm going to tell everybody where to get it. Okay. It's not on Amazon yet. It's going to be on Amazon very soon. So please go to fantasticlifebook.com. fantasticlifebook.com. That's for pre-sales. And if you do, 20% of the price of this book is going to go to the inner city. And we're also going to cover your shipping and handling of that book, so you won't even have to pay anything extra for that.
Oh, great.
While you're at it, pick up one for a friend as well. I think they'll love it too.
Yeah, might be some time to read right now too, depending on what kind of job you have or don't have.
Yes. And again, remember, I'm going to challenge all your listeners to pay it forward. I'm going to challenge all your listeners to do something for somebody else today that you would not regularly do. I'm going to challenge your listeners to do something that will make a difference for somebody else. And in this day and age, I don't think that's very hard to do. There's so many people that are needy out there.
I agree. Absolutely. So I want to ask too, you said you live your life differently now every day. And so give us tangible examples. If you wake up now, how do you wake up different? What do you do now when you
When
wake
I
up?
used to wake up, I used to be, another day at the office. Oh, I've got so many patients to see. I wonder what problems they're going to give to me. How I wake up, I have a double cappuccino. I spend it, enjoy myself right at the beginning, and then I apply myself. A lot of my days are on the internet these days, just talking to people, welcoming them, working on the internet, reaching out to people. When you write a book like I have, there's a lot of people that want to ask you questions about it. There's a lot of people that want to get the message that I've just shared. And in that process, I'm so thrilled. I'm so overjoyed that I have that opportunity to share with people. I can hardly contain myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you actually shared something that's extremely valuable that I've been doing during this experience that we're having with the virus, is about filling your cup up first. So before you used to hop out of bed and it was off to work to serve other people. And now you say, wait a minute, I'm going to get up and have my cappuccino first,
Yes,
a double
yes,
cappuccino, and then I'm going to be ready to be there for other people.
yeah.
And I've noticed when I do that, especially when I was a mom and I was giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, I found out if I could get up an hour or two early, go get that jog in and go sit in the hot tub and do my meditation, that after that, I could do anything I wanted for anyone. And it didn't matter. I did it in joy because I filled my cup up first.
Yes, and I think it's very important. In this situation, you do have to take care of yourself. You do have to make sure that you do things. Almost every day I try to go for at least an hour worth of a walk for myself. And that walk really helps to put me in that. The Japanese call it forest walking, where you walk through the forest and just have a time to reset the balances that are around you. And I think that's something that's very important as well, to make sure that you have the force inside of you so you can give back.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to practice today where when I reach a certain gate in the forest, I make sure that I have to shut my mind off right there. I'm not allowed to have one thought. I'm only able to receive as I walk. And then when I come back, I can start thinking again, because I can spend a whole time walking and not see anything if I allow myself to, if I allow my mind to wander. And so I'm loving this practice because, boy, there's a lot there in those woods to receive if you allow yourself to.
Well, it's just starting to be springtime in my neck of the woods, so we're starting to get the green that's coming out. Yesterday and today have been days that it's been raining. Well, that's beautiful because it's just gorgeous outside and just better that way. So all I can say is things are coming back, nature's coming back. I think we're going to see a better day. Yes, this virus is going to be around for a long time. Yes, people have to protect themselves. They have to be careful out there. They have to social distance. You can't just be foolhardy about this one. This is a bad bug, and it really is hurting a lot of people around the whole world. The number of people that have been affected just passed 3 million around the world. Almost every country in the world has been affected by this virus now. So that just shows how it goes. And the people that get it, some people aren't affected at all, but those who get sick, it's terrible. And the number of people that have died from this virus, it's terrible. So be careful out there. Even if you're feeling well and you don't think you have it, well, if small chance you do, you might pass it to somebody and hurt them. And that would be a terrible thing if you gave it to a loved one or hurt a loved one as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to be generous in this situation and realize that it's not always all about you. It's about others out there as well.
Absolutely. So tell me what inspired you after your experience? What inspired you to write this book?
When you go through something like I do, you reach out. You start to look for pieces. You start for looking at things. And I think what I realized is I finally knew God's plan for me. It was not just about me. It was about sharing. It was about helping other people. It was about making it better. Now, have you ever written a book?
I haven't, but I'm getting the nudge that I need to lately.
No, I'm telling you, writing a book is a very difficult thing because some authors have said, actually, it's easy. All you have to do is slit your wrists and bleed, because that's basically what it's like, because you really have to pour your heart and soul and your emotion into that book, which is a very, very difficult thing. And then you have to rework it, and then you have to rework it, and then you have to rework it. This book took me over 4 years to write in its format that it is, and really help it that way. Because it's not only writing it, it's making people understand what you're writing. It's like giving a piece of your soul to somebody else. And that is what writing a book is about. It's about giving. It's about people understanding it and then hopefully passing it to others, and that message gets out there. And I think I've succeeded with this book. I think this book has really, really, really helped a lot of people. And it's going to help more and more and more as it gets out there to so many people. And right now, we need that help. We need people to feel those golden pearls and learn those golden pearls. Mm-hmm. I think we need to get to that new breath. I almost died. I was a survivor. The world now is about survivorship. So that survivorship is what I want people to understand. And I want them to survive, and not only survive, I want them to thrive. I want them to have a better life, not just the same life they had before. I want them to really understand that. And that's really what came out of this. I think when you go through a death experience, most people go through an experience where they realize they can give back more, that they can help more, that you could be an old curmudgeon and mean and grumpy all the time, or you can take the other path. I think the other path is a much more better path. And I think it's that path not taken by many, many people. I think it's not just about you, it's about giving back.
Well, and I think the important piece about these pearls is for people to learn to literally find their pearls, find their own pearls. I think that's what life is all about, is perspective. And when we go through a challenging experience, to go back and take a look at, why did this happen to me? Why did I go through this experience? And for a lot of people that don't harvest their pearls, they will have repeat experiences over and over again with different people, different scenery, different year, but same experience. And so it's like we'll keep getting these challenges and or opportunities, depending on how you like to look at them, yes, to revisit our life and shift whatever it is we're being asked to shift. But people have to be willing to look at, what is this showing me? Why am I going through this?
Yeah.
And so I love that you did that.
Well, remember, we started this journey by talking about forgiveness. Remember, we talked about that, right, as one of the first golden pearls that people must do. And we talked about the importance of forgiveness and how if you don't forgive, it's like drinking poison and thinking the other person's going to die. We talked about the importance of forgiveness and how Mandela and the Archbishop Tutu brought that as formative phases in helping people in their country to forgive others that have hurt them. So they grew because of their experiences. They didn't use it as a thing that hurt them, and they did not want to hurt others. It was a growth experience. And I think that's what you find there. And we talked about gratitude, being grateful for things. We talked about how important that is, and how every day we should be grateful for things. And then we talked about laughter and how laughter can change everything in an instant to make it that much better for everybody else. And how just by laughing and seeing the funny side of things, it makes the world a better place and makes it a wonderful place. And then we talked about the wonderful concept of enthusiasm and how bringing it every day is a very important part of your game. Instead of being dour and sad and mean, think about being enthusiastic. Embrace the project in such enthusiasm that it makes it such a better place for everybody. Everybody loves it. And they love you as a result of it. You realize that enthusiasm is the best thing that you can bring to a game. So again, we talked about some of those golden pearls. But there's many, many more in that book. And we talked about the stories, and we talked about the dialogue between Harriet and I, and how we can make this come alive in your life. And I would love everybody to have a look at it. And the best way to go that is to that place we set up on the internet, fantasticlifebook.com. because there you can even give more, because 20% of that book is going to, the profits is going to help somebody in the inner city so that they can have a better life too. And at this time of year, at this time in our existence, many, many, many people need help. They need to get things and get above that.
Exactly. And in your paying it forward, you can pay it forward without paying money forward, without paying time forward. You can pay forward a smile. I mean, I've walked through the airport one time and I was in front of the guy at I can't even remember which line it was, but it was one of the workers there. And I gave him a big smile and he just said, "Thank you. You have no idea what that does." And I think I was smiling big just because I was on my way to India or somewhere fun. So
yes, but those are the important things. I think you can
exactly.
do a lot of things. If you like this show, you should give a review for it. Say some nice words about it. If you've liked what I have said, well, get in touch with us so that we can help you too. And how can you get in touch with me? Well, I'm Dr. Allen, Allen. It's Drllen, Lycka, Lycka. So drallenlycka.com. I'd love to answer any of your questions and help you in any way. Give us a buzz if you can. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being on my show today and sharing your pearls with everyone. I hope that you'll have lots of people buying a book for themselves and paying it forward and giving a book to someone else, or if nothing else, sharing some gratitude, or even if they just go back and think about forgiveness in their life. We've done our part, right?
Yes, we've tried.
We've tried. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you everyone for listening. It was a pleasure. I hope you have a great week, and namaste.
Thank you very much.
Are you ready to make joy and well-being number one in your life? Are you ready to live the life you've always wanted to live? Then you have found the right place. Joyful Living, Avesa Quantum Healing Center. Hi, my name is Geri Habstritt, and I've been an Avesa medical intuitive, quantum healer, and self-ascension intuitive counselor for 10 years, and have mastered the many tools of self-ascension to assist you to live your best life ever. Are you needing assistance with emotional or physical healing? How about a medical intuitive scan, EFT, or an Avesa chakra balance? Do you have repetitive issues that keep reappearing time after time? How about a cosmic life regression session? Are you wondering what your unique gifts are and wanting some deeper insight on your life? Or maybe you are getting ready to make some big decisions and you want guidance. How about an ascended numerology reading? Maybe you are unsure what you need. That's okay too. I offer free 15-minute consultations and can work with you in person or online. You can contact me by going to the host page on the Oneness Talk Radio website and clicking on Geri Habstritt. There you will find all my contact information. Wishing you great joy on your journey. One 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 222 333. Is it by chance you are waking up at these synchronistic times and glancing at the clock when they appear, or is someone trying to message you? Your soul can actually communicate with you through numbers. Everything is energy and frequency. Therefore, every number carries a unique energy. When you understand what each of the numbers mean, you can discern what your soul is trying to communicate. This is the art of ascended numerology. It is an ancient mystical art that was used by the Essene. Ascended numerology is quite different from numerology in that it utilizes the numbers 0 and 13, thus incorporating the energy of the infinite, which includes the soul. Everyone is born with a soul blueprint. This is the foundational energy you carried into this life experience. In Ascended numerology, it is called a diamond foundation. Your birth name carries a number or energy, your birth date carries a number or energy, and your birth location carries a number or energy. When these three numbers are added together, a fourth number is determined, which is your master soul code. This is the energy you came here to master. Oftentimes, it is your greatest challenge. When it is mastered, it becomes your greatest gift. These four numbers collectively make up your diamond foundation. Everyone's diamond foundation, or soul blueprint, is unique and extremely informative about your life experience and how your soul is expressing through it. Your diamond foundation acts as a roadmap or formula for action towards greatest soul potential and form. For example, my chart is extremely imbalanced. Therefore, this was an energetic issue of mine for some time. But when I moved to a new location and purchased a pet, my energy became more balanced and I felt much better. Ascended numerology can be used to determine advantageous marriage dates, ideal locations to live, companies best suited for work, and can answer most questions. It is great for determining the meaning of why certain events happened in your life, roles, deaths, or births played, and the energetic role each family member contributes. Knowing your diamond foundation is not only a fantastic healing tool, but is also empowering. With light shed on your experience and a blueprint for highest soul potential in hand, you can make more enlightened decisions. This is a healing art I've applied and enjoyed with incredible accuracy for many years. If you are interested in a simple reading to find out your diamond foundation and master soul code, or a more extensive reading with questions that you would like answered, please let me know. I would be happy to assist. Just look at the host page under Geri Habstritt and you will find all my contact information there.
Oneness Talk Radio. Hip, fresh, fun. Tune in to an honest portal of positivity 24/7. Experience unique talk radio from all around the planet, perfectly mixed with music that enchants your soul. Discover oneness moments as you relax into 3 to 5 minutes of divine inspiration. Claim your oneness today. OnenessTalkRadio.com. One world, one voice. Expand your vision.